You're listening to Holy Lives, Inspiring Stories. This podcast is brought to you by Paulines Multimedia. Discover the saints. Be inspired to live like one.
Welcome to Holy Lives, where we share stories of saints who let God turn ordinary lives into extraordinary love. Today, we're meeting a woman whose prayer changed history, Saint Teresa of Avila.
Teresa, I love her. She wasn't just a mystic lost in visions. She was a woman on fire, brave, witty, stubborn in the best way.
Exactly. People often picture her as this serene nun floating in prayer, but Teresa was alive, passionate, practical, and real. She laughed, cried, argued, and even joked with God.
Right. She once told him, "If this is how you treat your friends, no wonder you have so few." Only Teresa could say that to God and still end up a doctor of the church.
That's so her, honest but deeply loving. But she didn't start that way. As a young woman, she was bright, charming, and honestly loved attention.
She sure did. She enjoyed fine clothes, friends, and stories of knights and romance. But when she entered the Carmelite convent, she found it, noisy and distracted.
Exactly. The convent life back then wasn't very strict. Lots of visitors, chatter, and comfort. Teresa tried to pray, but she kept drifting. For almost 20 years, she lived half in the world, half in the cloister.
Until one day, everything changed.
Yes, she saw a statue of the wounded Christ, and something pierced her heart. She realized how much he loved her and how little she'd loved in return. That moment broke her open.
That's when she decided no more half measures. She gave herself completely to God, and that decision lit the fire that would define her whole life.
She began to pray deeply, not just saying words, but sitting in silence, heart to heart with Jesus. She called prayer a friendly conversation with the one who loves us.
Isn't that beautiful? Prayer wasn't duty for her. It was friendship. Real, intimate friendship.
And through that friendship, she began to see how far her community had drifted from its original spirit. So she dreamed of reform, to bring Carmel back to its roots of simplicity, silence, and prayer.
That took real courage. She faced opposition, gossip, even hostility from people inside the church. Some thought she was just a troublemaker.
Yes, but she kept going, barefoot, traveling from town to town, founding new convents, writing letters, and guiding souls, all while battling poor health and deep spiritual trials.
Can you imagine this small woman with heart problems riding across rugged Spain in old wagons, starting new communities because she believed love was worth the struggle?
And she didn't reform alone. God sent her help, like St. John of the Cross, who shared her dream for a renewed Carmel. Together, they formed the Discalced Carmelites, humble, poor, and totally centered on prayer.
And through it all, Teresa wrote. Her words still burn today. The interior castle, the way of perfection, such treasures.
Oh yes, the interior castle. She described the soul as a crystal castle with many rooms, and prayer as the journey through those rooms toward the center where God dwells in light.
That image is stunning. It reminds us that holiness isn't something we climb to, it's something we awaken to within.
Exactly. And what she discovered there wasn't some abstract idea of God. It was love. A love so real it moved her to tears, laughter, and total trust.
I like how she never separated contemplation from action. She said, "The Lord walks among the pots and pans," meaning you can find God in the kitchen just as much as in the chapel.
That's Teresa, practical mystic. She knew that real prayer changes how we live, how we love, how we serve.
And she wasn't afraid to be herself. Her humor, her strong will, her intensity, she offered all of it to God. She once told her sisters, "God save us from sour-faced saints."
I love that line. She believed holiness should make us more human, not less, more joyful, more alive.
You know, Teresa faced so many trials, suspicion, illness, exhaustion, yet her secret was trust. She'd say, "Let nothing disturb you. Let nothing frighten you. God alone suffices."
That prayer still strengthens people today. It's her whole life in one line: complete surrender.
And it's amazing to think that her reforms and writings reshaped the church. She became the first female doctor of the church, not because she had degrees, but because she had depth.
Yes, a woman who showed that intellect and intimacy with God can live in the same heart.
I find that inspiring. She reminds us that our friendship with God can set the world on fire, even from a quiet cloister.
Exactly. Teresa shows that prayer isn't escape, it's power, the kind that reforms hearts, communities, even history.
So true. You know, if I think of Teresa's life in one image, it's fire. Not wildfire, but steady flame, burning in silence, lighting everything around her.
That's beautiful. And that fire still spreads today in anyone who dares to be real with God, to love without fear.
Friends, maybe that's the challenge Teresa leaves us, to make our own friendship with God real, honest, and alive.
So here's our reflection question. Where is God inviting you to deeper friendship today? Maybe through prayer, honesty, or courage to act.
And your call to action. Find one small moment this week to pause, just you and God. Speak to Him as to a friend. No fancy words needed, just love.
Saint Teresa of Avila once said, "It is love alone that gives worth to all things."
May her fire of friendship inspire us to love God with the same bold, joyful heart.
Thank you for joining us on Holy Lives,
Discover the saints.
and be inspired to live like one.